Well, today I am testing the new light low B wing from Zoom, the Zoom XBLT. One thing I just have to get out of the way here for the English people out there, the name XBLT is going to make some people think of a bacon and lettuce tomato sandwich, which is one of my favourites, bacon, lettuce, tomato. It's a classic combination. So I was wondering, is it going to be as tasty as that? Is it a bacon and lettuce tomato sandwich? I've flown the size 105. I flew it at about 100 all up, and I had a really good testing day, starting off very light and sort of scratchy. Then the thermals came through. I even had thermals averaging nearly 6 meters a second. I had a really wide variety of conditions. Let's reel things back a little bit and start from the ground up. I did ground handle it a little bit just to check it over, brand new from the factory. Build quality seems really excellent. The wing looks really stunning. It's very clean, very smooth leading edge, definitely a refined and really well made glider. It's not just a sort of simple basic low B. It's something that's quite special in terms of how sharp and refined it is. It looks like a high B wing. Ground handling. So I did notice that with the XBLT, that combination of low B and light wing, it was picking up in the strong breeze, and I needed to use the rear risers to hold it down. Otherwise it would want to come up and fly. And actually the wing is very forgiving and easy. I think it's got a very easy launch from what I felt so far, and that the wing comes up nice and easy. It doesn't require a big pull, but on the other hand, it doesn't have a tendency to shoot up at all. But it comes up very progressively and nice and easy and predictably, and makes the launch very easy. So then at the top, it just slows and sits there really nicely, very stable and easy to control. It's a really nice balance because it's still got a nice feeling of control. It's not just what's going on up there. It's not too dampened, but at the same time, it's communicating to you and feels like a pleasurable, nice, playful wing to play around with. Taking off, the wing just feels very solid and reassuring, and gives a nice level of feedback, but just calm, very calm, but it is communicating to what the air is doing. Also the wing, it's nice, it's very pitch stable, just sits nicely above your head, but it is also cutting through the air very nicely. I think particularly well for a low B wing. At the same time, it's just got this very smooth, nice feeling about it. For a low B wing, it's gliding really well. Looking at all the wings around me, there were quite a few wings about, and I certainly was gliding very nicely. I think exceptionally well for a low B wing. And as I flew out through lift and sink, had a really nice feeling through the glider. Again, very calm, but still communicating what the air's doing. So I could really feel where the lift was and follow it out. The thermals actually turned out to be quite sort of sporty in places. And even in that quite strong sporty air, it was staying really nicely above my head, staying really solid, and behaving really well. So one interesting point is that I'd say for a low B, the brake travel is a little bit on the shorter side. So some low B wings, so my contact point was about 10 to 15 centimeters, which for a low B wing is relatively on the shorter side, but it wasn't too short. I didn't feel like this is too short. It felt really good. That's where you can do gentle turns. So you could actually just be flying in the toggles and do gentle turns like that, but it seemed really perfectly set up to put your hands in and then do the classic half wrap, which is a very comfortable position. It also means you can swap from classic half wrap to just holding the toggles and change your hands around as you want to brake kind of more tightly or less so. Flying up and down on the ridge, soaring, I feel like the XBLT is doing very well. I think it's got a really good sync rate, exceptionally good for the low B class, and more like a mid B. I think it's competing with performance wise with some of the mid B wings, which some of them are very good. So it's got really good performance there. And they do have a slight edge in top speed. That's where they have the edge, but very good sync rate. So you're going to be doing really well on the ridge flying up and down. I felt like I was doing better than all of the A wings and other low B wings on the hill. It was doing exceptionally well, and it seemed to be performing in terms of sync rate and soaring like a high B wing, really. Often pilots are a little bit too focused on speed, glide and speed, but actually sync rate is really important for staying up and then getting up. Combined with the wing's really excellent climb rate, I was able to outclimb pretty much everybody on the hill. That was largely down to getting into the right place in the right bit of air and turning on the right spot. But there's no doubt about it, the wings' turning abilities and really excellent climb rate also contributed to that. Plus, it's good feedback to feel exactly where the good bit of lift is. Sometimes I fly wings that are very dampened and kind of don't cut into the air so well. And yes, I still would have found the lift, but I think the XB was just really helping me there and giving really good performance. I kind of almost forgot I was on a low B wing in terms of the performance and pushing out into wind, and kind of felt like I was on a mid or high B wing at times because it was doing that well. It's got a really nice handling, very fantastic for thermaling, really great ability to adjust your climb, to really crank it round and bank it round. So it is a low B wing, so it's just got a slightly calmer nature than a mid or high B wing would have. So it's just a little bit calmer than that, and maybe not quite as sharp and precise and dynamic as that. Still very, very nice. And I was able to really keep adjusting my climb round and get into the nice bit of thermal. So I definitely think the XB LTE is an exceptionally great climber, an exceptionally good thermaling wing. The pilot demands are absolutely right for the class. It's not a mid B wing even in low B clothing. So in summary, wow, what a wing. It's just fantastic. It's got really lovely handling, very sorted. The pilot demands are right, but it's just really nice to fly. Fantastic at thermaling, fantastic for soaring, really great sink rate and fantastic performance. So if you're looking for a low B wing with really excellent performance, fantastic handling, particularly really good climb rate, then you should definitely have the XB very high on your list of wings to consider. One thing I was really keen to test is that the XB has got integrated BC system with a BC bridge, so there's no sticks or handles on it. And the risers are very nice to handle. That's another point. They're just really nice, perfect for the class. Not some of the gliders in this class have got sort of thin risers that are a little bit more fiddly, a bit more performance. So Zoom have clearly decided to make the wing really easy to handle in that way, and the risers are easy handling. Speed system is relatively light and very, very usable. It's not heavy at all, but has a really good positive feeling to it. You can feel through the speed bar very well what's going on with the wing, so that's nice. The glider picked up a good amount of speed. I think it actually has a good turn of speed for a low B wing. Some of the low B or A wings, you push the speed bar and you only get like about 8 km/h acceleration, 8-10 maybe. And this felt a bit more than that. The speed system itself is very light and usable, very efficient. The glider itself stays really solid. There's a very small amount of dimpling on the leading edge and flutter, very small amount, but overall I think for the class it's very, very clean and very solid. Then using the rear risers feels like a three-liner that could be even a high B or a C class glider in terms of how well and how good the communication feels on the rear risers, which is really very good. It's a little bit on the firm side, but you have a nice communication and feeling, and it's very usable. The risers are nice and simply done. They're not overcomplicated like some BC bridge systems are. It's not one of these systems that's kind of a bit fiddly and gets in the way. This XB is performing really well. It handles really nicely, climbs really exceptionally well. So I wanted to see now what's the safety factor of it. And I really felt that behavior generally, the pilot demands feel totally right for the low B class. Actually very easy. It's a very comfortable wing to fly, even in really sporty, choppy air. But how was it on the stall spin point? I did several tests of the wing, putting it and slowing it right down, and the stall point's very, very clear. The brake pressure, which by the way, the brake pressure is sort of moderate. It's not super light and not heavy, but it's moderate, maybe slightly on the lighter side, especially because it's just such nice handling. But on the brake pressure, as you slow the wing down, there's quite a long brake travel. So even though the contact point is quite high for a low B wing, about 10 centimeters, where some are like 15 or even 20 centimeters, but then it's actually got quite a long brake travel. It's got a long and wide speed range. You slow the glider down, the brake pressure really obviously builds up. It's really obvious you're reaching the stall point, even for pilots of the class, and you can really feel it. And the stall point's coming, and there's a very clear sort of indication from the glider that it's about to stall. A nice sort of warning and a nice delay. It's not a sudden snap stall, and then the glider starts to drop back in the stall. And now there's another important point. So as it drops back in the stall, I then put my hands up and waited to see. Now some gliders will dive out quite aggressively from that and be, which is what you don't want. And every single time I did that, it just came back and just very calmly came forward Did not need to catch it at all, even though it was quite active, sporty air. Very, very well behaved. Really impressively well behaved. I'd say the feeling is like easy for the low B class. So very easy stall point, very, very good stall behavior. Next, trying spin point. Same again. So just aggressively hoiking on the brake. And this is in active air, remember, which is a much better test than just smooth air, or a harder test for the wing. And again, you could feel the glider, the brake pressure build up, and then it started to spin. And again, it really held on quite nicely, started to go, and then hands up, and it was ready. Is it going to dive? And it just dived forward a little bit and carried on flying. Safety factor, very, very good. Next point I had the opportunity to do several asymmetric collapses. The wing is just folding in the first part of the glider, despite giving it a good pull down like so, where some wings that would make the whole wing fold back and you'd get quite a turn every time the XB folded in. When I held it, the glider would start to turn more when I was holding the riser down, but very little pitch. And then I released and the glider would pop back out and carry on flying. So very, very good behavior. Big ears. So I did big ears and I just did them. It's got split A's, so I just did classic big ears with it, and it's very easy to reach up, nice and easy to pull in the wing, the big ears. They're really stable, very effective, easy to hold in, really nice and stable. Also, when you release them, they just come out on their own. Next, went for a full spiral. Coming round, going into the spiral, it didn't feel like it's like overtly keen and too easy to get into a spiral. It's like, despite that nice handling, holding back and not sort of go winding around. And then going into the spiral, very easy to control your speed to come in and out. Definitely a good spiral descent rate. And then I just backed off, eased off on the brake and kept my position. And the glider straight away started to come out of the spiral and slow down, but not sort of suddenly out and climb and dive. Just really good behavior. So I think it's actually got very good spiral behavior as well, which again is very important for the class. I went to do some wing overs and I had a good amount of height. I'm also flying the Niviuk Arrow harness, which I really like. I felt like the wing felt really very nice, really pleasurable, nice and playful, but it's not kind of super high energy wing overs. It's just kind of really nice. You could really build up some nice turns, very pleasurable, nice feeling of control, but also kind of, again, that sort of calm feeling and just really pleasurable and fun. So who's it for? So I think primarily is for pilots who are upgrading from their first A-class glider, wanting to go into B-class, wanting a really very good performance wing, but keeping the safety. So they're wanting the safety, progressing there. The fact that it's light means it's a fantastic wing. That's great. Just even if you don't necessarily want a light wing, but just are looking for a wing that's compact and light and just nice to carry. But obviously it's fantastic for hike and fly. And I think even more experienced pilots are going to enjoy that aspect, because it's just, then they're just prioritizing have a wing that's really nice and easy to fly. So yeah, check out our different reviews and then you can get a different flavor of the wings, and hopefully that helps you make a better and more informed decision about your next wing. Rightio, that's all for now, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers, bye. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a moment. Hang on. Just a second. What's this we have over here? There's something in the bushes over here. Let's just see. Let's see what it is. Ooh. My God. Looks like paragliders growing bushes.